If it hurts, you ain't afraid, no get you know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the games after this win in. First you again, we're here for the first May. Carry like you never 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. They said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
99% of the people in this world want to be great. Would you agree with that? Yeah, they're called wannabes. 1% work to be great. Drop the mic on that.
Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me?
Yes,
all right.
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none.
But you know what? Let's talk a little Vols. That is not me trying to take any shine away from the phenomenal channel Talkin VAWLS and my guy Boogie Bentley runs. So shout out to them. But let's talk a little Vols here.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Coach Jay's in the house. One more sleep, Coach. One more sleep until it's football time in Tennessee. How you feeling, man? Georgia Bulldogs going on the road between the hedges. Hostile environment. We don't know if our quarterback's going to be able to play. Our pets' heads are falling off. Deshaun Bishop. Look, I didn't have it on my bingo card back there in fall camp that I would be concerned going into the Georgia game if Deshaun Bishop wasn't healthy. That's a problem. But how we feeling?
I feel good. Listen, on Bishop really quick, I feel better if Bishop's in there, obviously, but I like Peyton Lewis a lot. You know, guys, what's not to like? Running back, he's got size. He's like 6'1", 225, 230. He's got legit track speed. The one thing that he kind of hasn't shown yet is that little wiggle, that really nice one-cut burst. But I've seen him do it in practice. I know he's got it. I've seen him do it in his tape. I just think he hasn't had that kind of that real shake and bake kind of moment in a real game. And wouldn't it be nice to watch him leave Georgia linebacker in their sneakers and take one of the house?
Man, I think we can go down there. We can play some defense. Tennessee's going to have an opportunity to win this football game tomorrow night. Let's run down the chat. Let's see what you guys are up to on this Friday morning. Dylan Elam drops a $5 super chat. Says, why doesn't Florida float off into the Atlantic? Because Georgia sucks. GBO. I'm here for jokes. I'm here for jokes on a Friday morning. Luke Thompson for 2 says, Dorfy. Thank you, Luke. We appreciate that. Retro, the Georgia fan, might as well get ready to change that to a 7-3. I hope you can update your profile name tomorrow evening. He becomes a member of the channel. Shout out Retro. Retro is family. He is welcome here. Cody Roulette for 5. Saturday is our time to show them who we are and prove what we can do. So let's shut them up. Oh, and he says, Dorfy. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you, Cody. Billy Todd drops a $2 Dorfy. Thank you, Billy. We appreciate it. Red Panda becomes a member of the channel. Red Panda says, Boogie, I've been a lurker for a long time, but it's time to support the channel. So we appreciate you, Red Panda. Carson for 2 says 28-21 Vols. I like it. I like it. I don't know if I have some confidence yet. I'm still trying to find my confidence. Rocky Top Tom for 10 says, if you're going to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I'm saying right here, I hope we win, even if only to beat Georgia on their home field. But this game could change everything. What do you think about that? We kind of talked a little bit about this Wednesday night. Biggest game of Josh Heupel's career. I know you could probably argue the Georgia game in 22, but huge opportunity.
That's just it. It's a huge opportunity. It's easy to want to say that, but it's like pump the brakes a little bit, right? We're still building here. Like if it were completely built, then I would say it. But like I said, our depth is getting really, really good. It's getting championship caliber good in different position groups, but they're not all there yet, right? We're just not that thick in every single group where I would put the onus of, hey man, this is like starting to get to be career defining time on the road. But it certainly could be that catalyst, that springboard that, flings us into it. And he certainly could have that moment in this game and be ahead of schedule. We've always talked about Josh Heupel being ahead of schedule with this team. This would be a ahead of schedule moment in my eyes. Yeah, but it would be awesome, man, to go out there and, watch a victory. It'd be great if there were 2 things being filmed on the University of Georgia football team. 1, Tennessee victory, and 2, an episode of Cops, I guess. Is that the other thing they film at Georgia football?
Oh, that's what we should have done for the intro. It's Bad Boys, the old theme to Cops. Man, I dropped the ball. Maybe tailgate show tomorrow.
There you
That's
go.
what we'll roll out.
There you go.
For it, man. Just a huge opportunity for this football team to take that next step. Noah James for 2 says, for the haters, Boogie. Oh, he's dropping that 8. Oh, man, I hope we see 8 on the field tomorrow. Matt Mars for 5. It seems appropriate their fans are wearing black for their playoff hopes funerals tomorrow night. Thank you, Matt, for the super chat. All right, buckle up those chin straps. Get that coffee ready to go. We're going to get Ben McKee on here. We're going to talk a little Tennessee, Georgia.
Mean! Woo! My God! Gene!
I didn't have some fancy intro like Kaner gets, but I figured we'd get Ben McKee with Ric Flair. It fits. Ben, how you doing, brother? It's good to have you back on the channel. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me back on, and no worries. I understand on the intro, Kaner certainly deserves better than I deserve.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Man, I have brought Kaner down. Like, he used to be so professional, Mr. Radio guy. I go on his show and he's talking about his hair being out of place. He's a wreck. He is a wreck. You come on here like the true professional that you are. But since it's been a while since you've been on, let's kind of talk grand scheme of things. 2024. What were your expectations going into this thing? Here we sit with just 3 games to go. Wins over Florida, wins over Alabama. You got a shot at the college football playoff. What are your thoughts of this football team? Year 4 under Josh Heupel.
Yeah, I think they're in a great spot, obviously. Anytime you're playing for an SEC championship game appearance and essentially a berth into the college football playoffs on November 16th, you're doing something right. And that's everything that's out in front of Tennessee heading into this game on Saturday night. I know Tennessee fans are very annoyed with the selection committee this week, and rightfully so. But if you go out and you beat Athens or you beat Georgia in Athens, then and you make sure you don't have a letdown game against Vanderbilt here in a couple of weeks, then all of that is null and void. And you're in the SEC championship game and you're playing for a bye in the college football playoffs. So or you potentially end up with a home playoff game. So obviously you're doing something right if it's mid-November and you're playing for all of that. I had them 10-2 going into the year. I really leaned on Tennessee's defensive front. I thought Nico was going to have a strong year. I thought they were going to be able to run the football with Dylan Sampson. I did think the passing game was going to be better than it has been to this point, obviously, but I felt like Tennessee was a very complete team, and I thought the schedule set up in their favor as well. So I had them at 10-2 going into the year. I think I had the 2 losses were Georgia and Oklahoma, because I don't quite trust this team away from Neyland Stadium, which they obviously handled business in Norman. That was good to see. And ironically, I as a precursor of things to come, I do think Tennessee wins this weekend. So kind of odd that I picked 10-2 and 2 away losses, because I don't trust them away from Neyland Stadium. But I did pick them when Oklahoma week arrived. I did pick Tennessee to win, and I am picking Tennessee this week. So I guess there's some irony in that.
He's muted. See, we're about to sell a T-shirt on Talkin VAWLS
I'm
that
muted
says you're muted
all the time. Anyway,
Coach Jay's a true professional. He's always muted.
Yeah. You know what it is, Boogie? You brought me down, just like Kaner. You know,
It's
I
always
came in
my
here,
fault.
I was never muted, and then you drug me through the mud. No, we were kind of chatting about it before you came in, Ben. You know, and you just alluded to it. Heupel's, not had a really nice go of it on the road compared to at home. At what point do you think the rubber is going to start to meet the road for him if there's not success for on the field Saturday? You know, at what point is his fan base like, okay, when do you get it done on the road, and we expect these big wins on the road?
Well, I certainly think it gets loud this weekend if you don't handle business. And now anybody saying that Josh Heupel should be fired or he's on the hot seat because of it, I think that's very premature. I think that would be a bit crazy, quite honestly. I understand that, yes, if you lose on Saturday, at some point you absolutely have to start winning on the road if you're going to elevate your program to a championship level program. But if they were to lose on Saturday and people were calling for his head over the offseason or placing him on the hot seat, this or that, I think that would be pretty outrageous, quite honestly. But at some point, it's got to happen. At some point, you've got to kick the door in, and it feels like this weekend is a perfect opportunity to do so. Georgia, a good football team, but not the football team that we've become accustomed to seeing over the past couple of years. I think they're really struggling offensively. Obviously, Carson Beck, his struggles. The offensive line is banged up and playing poorly on top of being banged up. The receivers are not catching the football consistently. They're not getting open. Their running game, the running back room is also banged up. They've got 3 running backs out, most notably Trevor Etienne, and they were already struggling to run the football consistently as well. So you have this defense that Tennessee does, and it feels like a golden opportunity to go into Athens and win this football game. And Tennessee's offense will have to find a way to produce against the strong Georgia defense. But again, it's not the level of Georgia defense that we've seen the last couple of years. So if there was ever a time to solve the road woes, it feels like this weekend is the perfect time to do so, because the X's and O's part of this matchup, I really think it favors Tennessee in a big way. I think Tennessee and Ole Miss are built very similarly. I think they have the same strengths. I think they have some of the question marks, but a lot of the same strengths defensively. I think they're built the same way. And if Ole Miss can do to Georgia what it did last weekend in Oxford, then I don't see why Tennessee can't do the same thing, whether it's played in Oxford, Athens, or Knoxville. So at some point, you got to kick the door in, and I think this weekend is a perfect opportunity for Tennessee to do so.
Yeah, I think it's just such a huge opportunity, like I said, to take that next step. We're all talking about road losses, and if this game's in Neyland Stadium, I'm sitting here right now on a Friday morning full of confidence that our defense is going to go out there and eat. And you mentioning their inability to run the football. My neighbor's a huge Georgia fan, and he's like, man, he's like, everybody's talking about Carson Beck, and he's like, I get it, right? He's turning the football over. You can't do that. He's like, but they're putting so much pressure on him because they just cannot run the football. And I think it's going to be a huge factor in this game. Let me catch up with some super chats real quick. Charlie Kaufman for 2 says Dorf Ball's defense will eat all damn day. Bass Fisher for 5 says nothing to say, just my door feet. GBO. Well, thank you, Bass Fisher. We appreciate that. Vols Girl drops a 20 spot. We got to roll around here. You drop an Orange Boy. Well, we have to play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Vols Girl for $20. That is very generous. We appreciate you. Says Smokey is greater than UGA. GBOFUGA. You all keep doing this FUGA thing, and I don't know what it means, but you convinced me to sell a shirt, and I still don't know what it means. But we are rolling with the shirt FUGA, so it's out there. If you want to get one, go pick one up. Peyton K for 5. We are a better team on paper, just have to overcome that road jinx. Go Vols. Spot on. 100%. Ben, you said you think our defense is going to go down there and they're going to play well. They're going to do what they do. But one of the big question marks is offense, right? We've been waiting week by week to see this offense click, and it felt like they've been taking so many steps. I think Nico played good the second half of Alabama, played good against Kentucky, played good the first half against Mississippi State, but now all eyes are on Nico and the injury. Heupel seemed pretty optimistic earlier in the week. You got the Bear going out there on Twitter and kind of stirring up a hornet's nest on Tuesday night, saying he's likely to not play, listed as questionable on Wednesday, and then again yesterday. What are your thoughts on Nico? Do you think he is going to be cleared and give it a go on Saturday night?
I think he's going to end up playing. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I've received a million texts this week about Nico, as I'm sure even you have. Is Nico going to play this weekend? And he has truly been questionable all week. And it's just a matter of, does he clear concussion protocol? And all the signs this week point to him being in a good spot to do so. Again, we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition, because head injuries, concussions are very weird. You can feel fine one day and feel completely awful the next day. And it could be a week removed from it. So there's no guarantee that he will feel good on Saturday, but it seems like he's been in a great spot all week. He's done more and more as the week has gone on. He was practicing. I don't know that he was 100% participant in each practice, but he was able to get in on teamwork and individual drills. He was able to withstand the crowd noise that's being piped in at practice, which seems like a good sign, in my opinion, for somebody who is dealing with a concussion and probably would prefer to be inside in a dark room with no noise. And he's out there withstanding speakers that are blasting right in his face. To me, that doesn't sound like somebody who suffered a quote-unquote bad concussion last week against Mississippi State. So he truly is still questionable. It is probably more probable than anything, but we'll see on Saturday. I think there's a good shot that he plays, and then we'll see how he performs after that, because I thought he was really starting to hit his stride to start the month of November, and that started with that second half performance against Alabama. I thought he was really, really good in that second half against Alabama. I thought he played his best football of the year against Kentucky, and then looked good in the first half against Mississippi State as well, before not returning to the field after that. And of course, the first couple of bullet points when breaking down this matchup, if Tennessee is going to win, is, okay, you've got to be able to run the football with Dylan Sampson. You've got to be able to disrupt Georgia's offense defensively the way Ole Miss did. You're led by this Tennessee defensive front. They have to play up to their potential, play up to their ability. But that doesn't mean that the quarterback can't be a factor. He has to be a factor is what I'm getting at. You can't roll into Athens and beat this program that has only lost 4 times at home under Kirby Smart without your quarterback at least making a couple of plays. You can be a game manager. That's probably all Tennessee needs from the quarterback position this week, but there will be times in the game, whether it's on third down, whether it's in the red zone, whether it's in the fourth quarter, even if you just need your quarterback to be a game manager, not turn the football over, you're not asking a ton because other matchups favor you, you're still going to need your quarterback to make plays in that environment, in this type of game, in order to win. So very curious to see if the concussion had any impact on the strides that Nico was making, because I felt he was playing good enough football to where he could absolutely go in and lead Tennessee to a win in Athens, but we'll see where he's at, if there's any rust, if there's any effects, anything of that nature. And then kind of the other thing is, this is the game where you've kind of been preserving Nico's legs all season long, and you saw Jackson Dart's legs really give Georgia issues.
Mhm.
This would be the game to completely turn Nico loose. If he gets hurt in this game, then so be it. It's football. You're playing for an SEC championship, the college football playoffs. Like you have to leave every stone unturned, or you have to make sure you're turning over every stone, and that is utilizing his legs. But will Tennessee be able to utilize his legs given the injury he's coming off of? So a lot of nuances to that branch, but it seems like Nico's in a good place, and if you're Tennessee, you hope he can pick up where he left off prior to having to sit in the locker room during the second half of the Mississippi State win.
Yeah. You brought up a ton of good points there from defense to offense, Ben. And one question I like to ask people before a really big game is what's that, stat that you want to hear, that if you wake up in the morning and someone were to tell you, oh, the Vols rushed for this or held Georgia to that, what's that stat that you would feel like, yeah, Tennessee won this football game if you woke up and you heard Sunday morning?
Yeah, it's Tennessee rushes for a good healthy number. I don't know what that number is. I guess it would
Gotcha.
be 150, 175. I maybe closer to 200, as close to 200 as you can get. I think Tennessee absolutely wins this football game. I mean, that's been the bugaboo for Heupel against Georgia. Going back to year one, they rushed for 55 yards. That was a season low. They rushed for 94 yards the last time they were in Athens in 2022. That was the second lowest of the season. And then last year, they rushed for 130 yards. Well, 75 of those yards came on the first play when Jalen Wright housed that touchdown. And going into that game, Tennessee had the top rushing attack, much like it does this season. So if Tennessee, the rushing game is averaging 235, which is ninth in the country, first in the SEC. If it's, I don't even know that they have to get to their average of 235. I mean, obviously that'd be nice, but if it can get to 180, 200, then I think that would be that stat that you're looking for, that signals that Tennessee is going to win. Now, Georgia's rush defense, again, like I said earlier, it's not what it has been the past couple of years. It's not living up to the Kirby Smart standard, but it's still really good, right? They're sixth in the SEC, which feels weird to say, but 6 out of 16 isn't the worst place to be in. In this conference, they're allowing 110 yards per game. So maybe my 180-ish number is a little advantageous. But I think if Tennessee can flirt with that 170, 175 range, then I think Tennessee wins this game, because to me, it does boil down to whether or not Dylan Sampson is able to continue running the football the way that he has, and whether or not Tennessee can disrupt Georgia's offensive front. I think those are the two areas that are going to dictate who wins this football game. And Tennessee has not had success running the football against Kirby under Josh Heupel. That has to change this weekend if they're going to win.
Any concern about Dylan Sampson? Because, I said, I think you were in the back room when I was talking about Deshaun Bishop, like what a great story he's been, and seeing how successful he is. And Dylan Sampson, 27 carries against Florida, 26 versus Bama, 27 against Kentucky, or was it Mississippi State? Whatever. I'm getting my teams mixed up. And then 30 last week. So 4 straight games of 26 or more carries. They're saying he's beat up. He's banged up. You got Cam Seldon. You got Peyton Lewis, 2 young guys that I think Peyton Lewis has a bright future. And I think Cam Seldon does too. But 2 guys that haven't played on the road. Does that concern you when you're saying, hey, man, the key to me is running the football? Our starting running back is also beat up. I don't think enough people are talking about that because of the injury to Nico. But what are your thoughts on that running back room going in kind of not at full steam?
No, that is a concern for me going into this game. I think that Tennessee is still going to be able to run the football. It's just a matter of how much will it be able to run the football. The offensive line has been getting better and better through each week. It feels like they're playing their best football heading into this football game. And Dylan Sampson has obviously been tremendous all season long. By far the best running back in the SEC, probably the second best running back in the country behind our guy out there at Boise State. But there's a lot of wear and tear on Dylan Sampson, because unfortunately he has been the offense. He's put the team on his back so often this season. And this feels like another game in which he's going to have to put the team on his back yet again. And what if Nico doesn't play? Then all of a sudden you've got Gaston Moore, and Georgia is loading the box even more than it probably already will, to try and slow down Dylan Sampson and Tennessee's rushing attack. I mean, he's got 201 carries, which is 5th most in the country. The next closest in the SEC is Jarquez Hunter, and Dylan Sampson has 69 more carries than he does. That's a big gap right there. So I see my man Nelson from Jackson popping in and saying that nobody's 100% healthy, and I hear you, but that injury that D Samp suffered last week, I mean, it didn't look all that pretty. I was surprised that he returned to the football game. It was a scary looking injury. Neyland Stadium was completely quiet. You could hear a pin drop in there, and it says a lot about Dylan Sampson and who he is as a person, as a football player, as a leader, that he wanted to make sure that he came back in and played the rest of the way. You just hope that the wear and tear doesn't catch up this week, because if you can get him through this week, you have UTEP next week. You can rest him, make sure he's ready to go for Vanderbilt, and then we'll see what the month of December looks like for Tennessee, and potential rest for him there. But and it's not just Dylan Sampson, right? I mean, the offensive line's a little banged up as well. Andre Karch is banged up. John Campbell Jr. is always banged up. That's just kind of
every week of his career.
Right. Unfortunately for him, he's just kind of dealing with a chronic knee injury. Cooper Mays is playing with a lot of grit and toughness, playing through some things. Javonte Spraggins is playing through some things. But I think the Bishop one, I think that's probably my biggest concern, more than the wear and tear on Sampson, is no Deshaun Bishop, because now you're thrusting a true freshman, Peyton Lewis, and essentially a true freshman in Cam Selden, who doesn't have a ton of experience, into a huge game in which they will be on the field at one point or another, especially Peyton Lewis. I think he's ahead of Selden. So Peyton Lewis is going to get in there to give Sampson some time off, especially in the first half. How does he handle the moment? How does he handle himself in pass protection? How does he handle carrying the football? Just don't turn the football over. That's honestly, I think, the biggest thing for Peyton Lewis in this game. Don't turn the football over. Don't get too loose with the rock in your hands. Just high and tight and get what you can get, and maybe call it a day. Just allow Dylan Sampson to get his rest. So it's a big concern, the running game. Again, I do think it'll have some success this weekend, but it is a concern. There are some pieces there that make you wonder, if something were to happen in the first half, then all of a sudden we're looking at it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears real quick, how do you think Tim Banks is going to attack this game? And then in turn, how do you think Georgia is going to try to attack this Tennessee Volunteer defense on Saturday?
Well, I think Georgia should try to attack Tennessee downhill with its running game. And I realize that Georgia's rushing offense has not been great going into this football game, and they're really banged up. 3 running backs out, including Trevor Etienne, which is huge. Nate Frazier's been running the football fairly well. He did have 2 late fumbles against Ole Miss, but aside from that, I mean, he's been carrying the ball well the last couple of weeks. I believe he was over 100 yards last week against Ole Miss. 31 carries, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Not just last week, but the last 2 games he's run the ball fairly well. And Tennessee, if Georgia can get a push on Tennessee's defensive line, which is a tall task, the linebackers have struggled a bit against the run, especially when it's coming right at them. So if I'm Georgia's offense, I'm trying to do that in order to take pressure off of Carson Beck, because Carson Beck has absolutely struggled. He's made some very stupid decisions with the football. But I think Georgia's biggest issue isn't Carson Beck. It's everything around Carson Beck. The receiver's not getting open. The receiver's not catching the ball. He doesn't have that safety valve, and Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. Georgia's running game has been inconsistent because it has not been healthy. The offensive line is banged up, and it's been struggling. So nobody's helping Carson Beck, and I think he's pressing and trying to do too much as a result. If Georgia can establish the run right into the teeth of the Tennessee defense, like we saw Kentucky and Mississippi State have success at times doing so, in the wake of the Keenan Peely loss, I think Tennessee really felt that loss the last couple of weeks, then that can maybe open up some things for Carson Beck and the passing game out on the perimeter. If I'm Tim Banks, I'm being aggressive. I'm coming after Georgia's offensive line, Carson Beck. I don't think that the offensive line for Georgia can hold up against this Tennessee defensive front. I think it's the same formula as it was against Ole Miss for Tennessee. Ole Miss's defensive front absolutely terrorized Georgia's offensive line and Carson Beck, and that's what Tennessee has to do. So I would be aggressive if I'm Tim Banks. You trust Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson out there on an island. You trust Will Brooks roaming around in the safety to have those guys' back as well in anything over the middle of the field. And the tackles for Georgia have been suspect all year long. And now they get to deal with Joshua Josephs and James Pierce Jr. That obviously favors Tennessee. And Tennessee's deeper than anybody in the conference at defensive tackle. And they're banged up on the interior. They're banged up at left tackle. That's where you got to really hit Georgia hard. And I think Tennessee has the pieces to do so.
We're going to hit a couple of super chats here, then we're going to get you out the door in just a minute. Jeremy Thornton for 5 says, going Vols deep on them dogs. Y'all are so offensive. Why do I have to read this stuff out loud? But shout out, Jeremy. We appreciate the super chat. Brad's playing games. We got a leaderboard down there on the bottom. Vols Girl drops $19.99. So Brad has to give a penny more because Brad is the egomaniac and has to see his name at the bottom of the screen every single time we're live. So Brad drops a 20 spot. Says GBO high school football playoff round 2 tonight, and then Vols whoop the puppies tomorrow night. This super chat is for Ben. So now he wants, Ben, I'll send you a check in the mail. All right, I'll send you a check in the mail. And I almost forgot the clip for Brad, even though I really don't want to play it for him.
Rocky Top!
I guess. Thank you, Brad. I guess. Anyway, moving right along. We appreciate you, Brad. Thank you for the super chat, brother. This game coming up tomorrow night. Late night game, hostile environment, everything on the line. College football playoff rankings come out, and some shady business going on, right? Tennessee ranked 7th. They were ranked 7th the week prior, even though Miami lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia lost to Ole Miss. Magically, Indiana and BYU, I guess their wins were just so impressive that they're going to jump Tennessee. It seems to me the playoff committee has Tennessee right there where if they lose to Georgia, they'll be outside the bubble looking in. Is Alabama going to sneak in there even though Tennessee beat them head to head? Do you think Tennessee has a shot? I know there's a way, there's a path to get there with 2 losses, but do you think this is must win tomorrow night?
Yes, absolutely. And mostly because you don't want to leave it up to somebody else's decision. I mean, you have everything in front of you. And I know it's a cliche in the sports world. You control your own destiny, but Tennessee truly controls its own destiny. You win tomorrow night in Athens. And of course, you can't have a letdown against Vanderbilt. But assuming Tennessee handles business in Neyland West here in a couple of weeks, like it should, then, I mean, you are going to play for an SEC championship game. And I know there's some fear that, it's a meaningless game. What if we lose? Will the committee hold that against us? I don't think that the committee is going to hold losing a conference championship against anybody. That would be so bad for business. And it would be a really, really poor precedent to set. You can't negatively impact somebody for losing a conference championship game. You can't hold it against them while somebody else is at home dwiddling their thumbs and sitting on the couch watching that team play. So I don't think that will hurt a team in terms of making the playoffs. I think you only have things to gain. And in that situation, a home playoff game would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. But that home playoff game also brings an elimination game into play. And if you win the SEC championship game, sure, you may lose that home playoff game, but you're playing one less elimination game, which I think is more important. So absolutely must win. Not in the sense of, Georgia loses, they're completely eliminated from playoff consideration. Tennessee loses, they're still somewhat in the fray. But to me, it's just a must win in the sense of you control your own destiny. Don't leave it up to fate. Don't leave it up to somebody else. You can't trust the selection committee. They're putting too much weight on wins and losses, in my opinion. And I know that sounds weird off the cuff, but all wins and losses are not created equal. Indiana's record, BYU's record while I think Indiana and BYU are better than people are saying, and people are getting caught up on the logo on the side of the helmet, their record is not the same as Tennessee, Alabama's, any of these SEC teams, quite frankly. I think if you give them Georgia's schedule, Tennessee's schedule, Alabama's schedule, neither of those teams are undefeated. So I don't like that they're putting all this gold into a team's win-loss record when nobody's playing an equal schedule. I don't think that you can do that. So, and it doesn't seem like they're going to change their mind on that. So to avoid getting the short end of the stick, because it seems like, okay, which SEC team is going to be left out, when it's really a matter of, in my opinion, should a fifth SEC team get in over an Indiana, a BYU, a Miami, those type of teams? The committee does not view it that way. So you have to win on Saturday night just to avoid any doubt. You don't want to leave it up to fate, because the fate of the selection committee cannot be trusted, quite frankly.
Yeah, I agree. And like, I get what you're saying about Indiana and BYU. And I would have taken it a whole lot easier if you had put them in the first college football playoff rankings ahead of Tennessee. Then you can argue that. And I'm like, yeah, I can't really push back on that argument. But the fact that you waited till two teams in front of Tennessee lost to just move them up, it just made no sense to me.
And you say they picked up a big win when Michigan is not a good football team. You're looking at the logo on the side of the helmet. And then it took an egregious penalty, defensive holding penalty, for you to beat Utah, a bad Utah team. The reasoning is stupid. I'm totally with you. Do it the first week, whatever. I get it. It's early November. They're undefeated. You have a bad loss at Arkansas. Your only good win in terms of bolstering your resume is the Alabama win. That continues to look better. Like, I get it, but don't overcorrect the following week and then come up with some silly excuse. That did not make sense.
But that's a beautiful thing. You got an opportunity tomorrow night to go settle it on the field. I've been comparing it to martial arts, MMA or boxing. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges, man. Just go out, knock them out, and then nobody has a say. You just get to go play for an SEC championship and get into the college football playoff. Ben, it's always a good time having you on Talking Vols, talking a little ball football. What's going on over there at Go Vols 247? I tell you guys in the chat, I am also a paying customer to Go Vols 247, so it is worth your money to see what's going on. But what are you guys having coming up over the weekend over there at Go Vols 247?
I appreciate you saying that. We've got anything and everything going on. Of course, complete coverage of Tennessee football this weekend and throughout the rest of the month and into December, where Tennessee hopefully will be playing playoff games and potentially an SEC championship game. So all four of us, Wes, Patrick, Ryan, and myself, will be in Athens at Sanford Stadium on Saturday night. So we'll have plenty of Tennessee, Georgia coverage for you. And, of course, we've got all things Tennessee athletics covered at Go Vols 24/7, from baseball to basketball to even women's basketball and the Lady Vols. Oh, Kim Caldwell out here recruiting 5 stars as well. So we've got it all covered for you at GoVols247.com.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. We will catch up with you soon. Definitely want to get you back on. We're going to do the charity stream again, January, February-ish. This psychopath over here set a goal of 15 grand. 15 grand is the goal this year. So we'll touch base, man. I appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. Always enjoy joining you all, and appreciate y'all, and happy to join anytime. Y'all have a great weekend. Later, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Catch up. Got a couple more super chats here. Caveman Boy for 2 says FUGA. We appreciate you, Caveman Boy. Brian Thomas for 2 says AD should never be allowed on a college football playoff committee. And I went full on sports talk, Jay, with my video yesterday. I was like, you have to talk about this college football playoff committee, conspiracy theories. That was the video yesterday. Can we talk about the more important things now? I mean, I know you're a guy that grew up. You like to throw hands. You see, I like to take it to the ground and submit people. But regardless, there is a huge fight tonight. Who are you taking, Mike Tyson?
People getting
Logan
slapped.
Paul? Jake Paul, not Logan Paul. Jake Paul.
I mean, is it a real fight though?
No.
It feels like, with the slap and everything, doesn't it feel like a wrestling match?
Let's pretend that it is real.
Okay, if it's real, I guess I would take Mike Tyson in a draw, because he's still a more proficient boxer at his age, and Mike Tyson was never a boxer. It's just both the Pauls have some work to do in the ring, right? Like, I like to attune fighting. I don't know if it's the same in the mixed martial art world, because I grew up in the boxing world, Boogie, but boxing's almost like a Jedi. Like Yoda's sitting around going, too old. You're too old to begin the training, because it takes years and years and years to make the things that boxers make look easy because they're actually really, really hard, and they make them look routine. And it's why even though the Pauls have spent a lot of money and put a lot of work into it and a lot of time and a lot of blood and sweat and tears in a short amount of time, the amount of time they've been doing it still shows, compared to a kid that was adopted by one of the all-time greats, Gus Casamato, and tutelaged over the years.
What's so funny to me is reading the chat is the exact same comments I get when I go troll on Twitter about this fight. Because I think it's funny, but I also think I disagree with people. I think everybody's saying, "Oh, if it's a real fight, Tyson wins," but it's fake, so Jake Paul's going to win. It's like that's just your out because Mike Tyson's about to get slept. Mike Tyson's about to get knocked out because Father Time is undefeated. I don't care how long you've boxed or what you've done. It ain't like Jake Paul's over here playing tiddlywinks. He has been training to fight, and you're fighting a 58-year-old man. Like,
have you seen that video of that old man though that like whoops that youngster's butt in the ring? Like, there's like a guy returning the Joe Rogan show. What's the guy's name? So and so. Pull that video.
Pull it up, Jamie.
Pull it up, Jamie. Pull it up, Jamie. Yeah, there's like this young, like in shape kid that goes and fights this old trainer, and he whoops him. But here's the thing: that kid came off the street and lifted weights. Like,
right, huge difference.
The Pauls have been working at it and at least taking it serious. So it's a huge difference from someone who has no idea what they're doing to at least throw a straight punch.
Nelson, I've been arguing with Nelson
I'm not a big Mike Tyson guy to begin with. Like, even in his prime, I'm not taking anything away from his power or the peekaboo style for that matter. But I was just never a huge Mike Tyson guy. I thought he had a couple fatal flaws in his game that were costly.
Mike Tyson is a real boxer. He's also an old man, Nelson. He's an old man. Tyler Maxwell
been eating mushrooms.
Been a member for 2 months. We appreciate you.
Last 3 years.
Dude, I think he said he was going to eat mushrooms before the fight. Like that's what we're dealing with here. Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Jake Paul is going to put him to sleep, and when he does, all of you are going to tweet at me and say it was rigged. I'm in a no-win situation here because I've gone full on Jake Paul troll here.
Uh-oh.
So if he knocks out Mike Tyson, everybody's just going to tell me it was fake. And if Mike Tyson knocks him out, my phone is not going to stop going off until about 6 a.m. tonight. It's going to be rough. Going to be rough. Tyler Maxwell drops a $5 super chat. We appreciate you, Tyler. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Friday morning stream. I had to bring that up. I trolled Twitter last night. But it's not really trolling because I truly do believe what I say. I think if I think Jake Paul is going to put him to sleep. But we appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you do smash the thumbs up, share out the link, let people know we're live. We got 360 some people watching. You can support the channel by go checking out the merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below. Everybody keeps putting FUGA in the chat, and I don't know why, but we sell a shirt that says that. If you know what that means and you want to wear it, you can go here and pick it up. We've also got wrestling-themed merchandise. We got the brand new State Pride 2.0 shirts, God Bless and Go Vols, the Chosen One, whatever you want. Get in where you fit in. If you like Coach Jay and you can't remember the link, it is in the description below. You can go grab whatever you want. Also, shout out to the members of the channel. If you don't have a Power T beside your name, but you like the content, what gives us the opportunity to do these morning shows on Mondays and Fridays and get guys like Ben McKee and Kaner on the show hanging out. It's because you members support what we do. Think about hitting that join button. Just $1, just $1 a month. Custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, access to fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. But again, most importantly, you guys are the reason the show exists, and I'm grateful for your support. All right, let's talk a little gambling. If you don't want to give $1 to the channel, you can give $1 to gambling websites. Isaac Smith for $2 says, "Good morning, Vol Nation. Boogie, make the shirt." Oh my gosh, there's so much pressure on me to make a Suck My Vols shirt. Do you think we would sell a shirt? I mean, would you sell it?
Somehow I hadn't heard that yet, but
I can't remember when it came.
Would I buy
Wednesday?
it?
You were here Wednesday. It must have been Tuesday night.
You know what? I own a couple different very inappropriate Tennessee T-shirts. I kind of find them to be a novelty. I don't really ever wear them, Maybe if I was like going to watch a game in a Georgia bar or something like that, I would have to be a jerk. But yeah, hey, why not? Give the people what they want. Give the people
Brian's
what they
put me
want.
on blast.
For the
Maintain some
fans, by the fans,
integrity.
Boogie. For the fans, by the fans.
Oh gosh, maintain some integrity. Apparently, I have none.
Gambling.
How'd you do this past week? First, kick us
So
off.
yeah, I kept track this week. I got my stuff together a little bit. Last week I went 4-2. I lost the Georgia game, got our butt kicked right out of the gate. Made it back with a win in the Michigan game, easy win. They covered that 14.5. Put together another win with Army. Then I had my last loss of the day against Texas Tech. Hit South Carolina for a win, and then hit Utah for a win as well to finish the day off 4-2, which I like because I've mentioned it on this channel. Vegas gets harder to beat in college football the further the season goes on. They just get better at spreading these games. They have more money for the AI, spread algorithms, and they just tighten it up. So I definitely believe your haze to be made at the beginning of the year, but doesn't mean we can't go at 4-2 later in the year and make a couple bucks as well. But to go over this week, I like Tulane -7 against Navy to start off. Tulane's played really, really well, unveiling some new road looking duds this week that are pretty darn sweet. I like them at 7, moved down to 6.5, which is nice. So the full touchdown gets you the spread. Tulane's got some nasty linebackers, a good D line as well, which really is going to help you against an old school Navy team. As you all know, the military academies like to run the rock. So I like Tulane -7. Moving on, I'm going to move to a team that I believe wants some style points, and that would be the Alabama Crimson Tide. God, yeah, it does kill me every time I got a bet on them. I know it's a big number, 41 against Mercer. But I like them at 50 here, guys. I think they're going to run it up. I think they're going to try to get this team rocking with as much struggles as they've had at times. Also, Alabama needs to continue to develop a backup quarterback and let the reins go when that backup quarterback is there in case something happens. Perfect game. So I think even if they got to get the starters out there, I think the second team still plays aggressive and tries to put on points. After that, we're going to keep riding South Carolina. I know it kills you guys. I know everyone hates Beamer. They've covered 6 weeks in a row, -14 at Missouri. Missouri is in shambles right now, guys. They're without a quarterback. Yeah, I did these in time order, so
I'm struggling with it.
It could be that it's pulled off the board. I think it was. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, -13.5. I like this spread all the way up at 17-20. Missouri's just that backup quarterback is no good. Their offensive line's having trouble protecting him because he can't make quick decisions. South Carolina's defensive line is going to get home a lot in this game, and they've got a quarterback that continues to build up confidence against a defense that's struggling as well. So once again, South Carolina -14. Upset on the money line. If you're looking to something to rich up a parlay or you want to put something in there, Old Dominion money line going to beat James Madison at home. You were just on it a little bit further up.
They've got these messed up because they've got the Tennessee Georgia game listed at 2:30.
Yeah, there you go. You're right there. Old Dominion, James Madison. So a little pro tip for you guys who are on books. Sports books will always jumble up the times of the games because it helps you stay disorganized. Because the sharks out there bet in blocks a lot of the times, meaning they'll bet the morning block, then the afternoon, and the night block so they can use the power of exponential numbers and roll their money when they are hot. Most books will allow you to organize your games by time somewhere in your settings. So if your book does allow you to do it, just a little kind of tip in there, you could use What I say?
I'm just laughing because we don't condone gambling too. We're going full on gambling lessons.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Talking
yeah.
Balls
Sorry.
Network. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
but give me the Monarchs, man. Stingy team, and I'm a big Jimmy Madison guy. I like them a lot. They're fun. I like Old Dominion. The Monarchs are stingy defense, good offense, well coached team. Love their coaching staff. They've had a lot of teams' numbers. I think they get this one done at home. And the final pick, guys, 9.5 or 10, whatever the Tennessee game's at, it is disrespectful. We have to call BS on this as Tennessee fans and take these points. Nico plays, I might be tempted to, maybe take a full unit on Tennessee in the money line, and maybe take half a unit on the money line for Tennessee if Nico were to play. So keep an eye on that. Should be fun to see what happens in the spread if Nico is confirmed. But that's Coach Jay's opinion on the games this week. And
We got a super chat from Vols Edits for 5. Says, long-time lurker here. Just wanted to show my support. Thank y'all for inspiring me to create my own Vols content. Truly appreciate it. FUGA. Well, I like that logo. That looks clean. So that's
cool.
awesome. We appreciate the super chat. How are you feeling about Nico? Do you think? I bet we don't know. I started to say I bet we don't know till kickoff, but I bet something changes between now and tomorrow when the final injury report comes out, whether it's probable or cleared or whatever.
What do you mean, Boogie? David Hooker already broke the big news that Nico's playing.
I wanted to highlight that and just say Dave Hooker's an idiot. We don't care. But I took the high road. You're dragging me back through the mud.
Sorry. I like where Nico's been. I'm gonna say, as long as he doesn't regress at any point, he's gonna play. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now. I think it's pretty clear based on the practice reports that he's cleared the first 4 phases of protocol out of the 5, and we're just waiting for that final, which of course is cleared for unrestricted full contact. Also the hardest one to clear, that should be noted, but if you're working on the time clock, that should have been a test he could take this morning, and then of course again tomorrow, or as early as tonight, I guess. Should be interesting, should be fun. I think Tennessee's defense is good enough to win this game either way, but man, you feel a lot better of it with Nico on the field, that's for sure.
I thought it was interesting what Ben said when we were talking about it. Was something similar to what I said Wednesday. Like, I just felt like things were starting to click for Nico. The offense was starting to click. We still weren't there, still weren't where we wanted to be with the turnovers but as far as like connecting with your wide receivers, making plays, I feel like everything was starting to come together. And I just wonder, I know we participated in team drills yesterday, and that's a good sign, but there's a difference. And it's not like he's out there getting hit in practice anyway, right? It's not like he's out there.
Right.
So I don't know that there is do you think there's really a difference in what he did in practice yesterday versus a true just regular week of practice? Because he's no contact no matter what.
No, they might have taken a little slower with him, a little easier during the first endo periods. Kind of giving him a little bit more time to warm up than usual, kind of let him slowly ease his way into it. But for the most part, once he went out there and was running teams, I think it was the same. Obviously, you don't touch your starting quarterback during teamwork. So all that was pretty much the same. It's just going to be a matter of what the team's physician and what his independent medical provider has to say as far as giving him the nod to go.
Hopefully Nico rolls out there. I can't get over this one, man. I can't get over I've been confident in every game this team's played this year. Every single game I felt confident that Tennessee was going to go out there and win the football game. I just can't get over the road hurdle. And you look at everything. You look at the stats, you look at numbers, you look at the eye test, you look at everything about these two football teams. And I just think that Tennessee's defense is better than Ole Miss's defense. And I think you're going to have so many opportunities. But, man, this this offense has to figure it out on the road. And you mentioned earlier with Ben, it's like, when does the noise start coming in? When does the noise start coming in of Josh Heupel has to win one of these road games? And it's fair, right? It's fair to shift expectations. That's what you want to do, but you also have to remember where we were and where we're at now. I don't know what it is, man. I can't get past the struggles on the road, and then you throw in the Nico factor. I can't get over the hurdle, man. I cannot get over the hurdle to have confidence going into this game. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Well, Boogie, lean on defense, man. That's what I say. Just lean on the defense. Set the offense aside. This defense is good enough to win this game. I agree with Ben. I think Tim Banks is going to attack. I don't think it's going to be a full-on attack because Georgia's going to, probably have something for that just in case we're a little too aggressive. So you have to be measured, but I do expect pressure to be brought in order to force turnovers. I expect a really opportunistic defense. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia took a couple shots early in this game, a couple deep shots, really loosen things up for them in 22. Can Beck hit those shots, or can McCoy or Gibson pick one of those shots early and shut that down right away and turn Georgia one-dimensional? Will be really, really interesting to watch. And then, like Ben said, if the defensive line wins this game up front decisively, this team can win simple, really, really simple, in my opinion. Like, this defensive line goes out there and whips them, takes them into deep water, and wears down this Georgia offensive line because they're hurt, a little bit out of shape, maybe like Tennessee's offensive line was there for a minute. Yeah, the defense can get it done. I'm going to lean on defense. And if I'm this defensive coach, and I won't spoil the video coming out too much later, but I'll tell you what, man, if I'm Tim Banks, quick as the step and sharp's the word all week at practice, I would make sure my defense knew exactly what was in front of them, and that they had an opportunity to do something truly special. And no matter what the offensive done, get out there, stick Georgia with a goose egg, go home and light up a stogie.
What do you like? I think this defense can beat up Georgia. I do, man. I do. God, I am so all over the place because I'm like so freaking confident in this defense. I am. And the offense was so close. It's just the road environment. If it was a neutral site, I'm picking the Vols. Like, I can't get over the struggles on the road. And even this year, right? We saw it against Arkansas in the loss. We saw it against Oklahoma, but we made excuses and we found ways to validate why everything was okay. And I believe those things. I do think the play calling got conservative in the Oklahoma game because of the circumstances of that game. But if we lean on defense and Dylan Sampson picks this team up, puts him on his back again, like Ben said, and I rattled off the number of carries he's been getting, are we finally going to get some legitimate Heisman Trophy talk? Because this came out earlier in the week, and this is not – like when somebody first tagged me in this, I was like, what a bunch of disrespect. This is not like an on-3 list. This is not somebody's opinion. These are Vegas odds. So these are like Vegas isn't trying to spin a narrative. Vegas is trying to make money. So Vegas puts out the odds for the 2024 Heisman. Dylan Sampson's not even on the list. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. What do you got? 10 players on there? And you don't think Dylan Sampson is one of the top 10 players in the country? Better Cade Klubnik? Like, are we kidding right now? Indiana's quarter, like, what are your thoughts on that? If Dylan Sampson does it again, he's got to be on the list.
I don't really think Milroe belongs on that list either. Let's put it this way. I would put Sampson on that list definitely over Milroe. Definitely probably over Shedora as well. I think Hunter deserves to be on there. Dylan Gabriel, yeah, they're good. You know what? Even Curtis Rourke, he's been great all year. Although once again, I think that will kind of take care of itself as he's played a better defense in Michigan, not lit it up. Ohio State takes care of business. He drops out of there, and Cade Klubnik, yeah. So I would definitely have Sampson on this list. I think there's some people on there that don't currently deserve to be on there over him, certainly.
I think the problem with the Heisman is it's like a popularity vote. I've already said
Yeah.
Travis Hunter's winning it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It doesn't matter what their record is, what they do. None of that matters. Travis Hunter is going to win it because it's a popularity contest. That's it. It's like, to me, is it a most valuable player award? Is it the best player in college football? Because you take Dylan Sampson off this football team, they're nothing. Like they're not. There is no way they're sitting here with a shot at the SEC. And I know you can say the same thing about the defense, obviously. But is it? I don't know. What is the Heisman Trophy? And I get it. Most Tennessee fans don't like the award. They crap on the award because what happened to Peyton, more specifically, but then also Johnny Majors. Are you a Heisman guy, or does it just mean nothing to you? I would love to see a Tennessee player win it, man. It's the biggest award in college football, and I get it. I get people that say otherwise.
Let me preface this statement, but I'm sure people will clip it and hate me anyway. I don't believe this statement I'm about to make, but let me play devil's advocate, okay? Most of Dylan Sampson's touchdowns are a product of him just being lucky because the offense moved the ball really well, put him on the end zone's doorstep against inferior competition most of the year. The offense moved the ball really well because we spread you out. It's what the system does. We chunk down the field, we get you close, and then Dylan Sampson punches it in. So Dylan Sampson's great at getting 3 yards and scoring a touchdown, 7-8 yards scoring a touchdown. But really, when it's important, he fumbles the ball and he's not going to take off for a 70-yard
roasted. You're about to get roasted.
Like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate because I've heard this argument. Like I said, I don't agree with it. I just thought I'd put it out there so y'all could munch on it. That's all.
So let me bury the devil's advocate.
Yeah. That's why I did it.
138 yards on the ground against Arkansas, SEC road game. 112 yards against the Gators, SEC. 139 yards against Alabama, SEC. 142 yards against Kentucky, SEC. 149 yards against Mississippi State, SEC. In those games, a touchdown against Oklahoma, 2 touchdowns against Arkansas, 3 touchdowns against Florida, 2 touchdowns against Alabama, Kentucky, a touchdown against Mississippi State. He was the vulture a year ago. This year, he was the offense, man. He was this offense. We have leaned on him. He deserves to be. Dude, you got him all pissed off at you. Dude, what is happening?
I don't think it. When I heard this the other day, Boogie did better than me at burying it. I just looked at the person and was like, "You're stupid," and walked away, basically. But I don't believe what I was saying. I have heard that retort is all I was saying.
See, but the difference is I was pulling up the stats while you were talking the whole time, so I could get ready to put that in the ground.
There you go.
Yeah, huge opportunity.
They're like, what the hell? What are you saying?
I got to catch up on super chats here. CJ Woods for 8 says, "Here's 8 in the offering plate for Nico. These Bulldogs ain't full blooded because Smokey is their daddy." Dylan Elam for 5. We take down Georgia. This is the first time we've swept the Big 3 since it was under Butch. What are you laughing at? What did I miss now?
Just the chat booing me.
I think it was Butch Jones in 2016 beat all 3. How sad is that it was Butch Jones of all people? Let's see. P. Blackster for 2. Boo, you the man. Coach J, you the man. Go Big Orange. You want a refund on that?
Yeah,
one?
he must have sent that before I was playing devil's advocate.
He did. He sent that right before you started talking. Now he's changed his mind.
Me.
He wants to take that back. All right, we appreciate you tuning in for this Friday morning. Don't forget the game day breakdown coming a little bit later today, probably be around 1 or 2 o'clock. I will post that for you guys to watch tomorrow, live an hour before kickoff, and then we'll be live immediately following the game. So make sure you tune in, smash the thumbs up, share out the links, let people know about Talkin VAWLS and what this community is, man. That's what makes it so great around here. It's not that we're creating this content that nobody else can do. It's that we got the best dang community in all of Tennessee YouTube. And for that, we thank you guys. But share the links, retweet us, post all over Facebook, Instagram, social media, grow this thing. And let's see if we can hit 30,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But we appreciate you tuning in. For Coach Jay, my name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.